Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and USDA released the federal milk marketing data for June here, these last couple of days. It normally comes out between the 12th and the 14th, and the last ones were released this afternoon, so I had a chance to put them together for you. So let's start with the statistical uniform prices, which kind of gives us a sense of what milk checks are going to look like in June here, and so we got a high in Florida at 22.52, and this goes down as low as 15.27 for Minnesota and Wisconsin. We're going to talk about why these are so vastly different. The biggest thing I like to look at is the change in the uniform price. Now, the biggest piece that's going to be your percent utilization, and we know that class one came down $1.56, and that was quite a bit this month, and that's why you've got Florida, for example, down $1.43. They're very high class one. Meanwhile, if we look at just the actual values of 3 and 4, that's going to suggest that anybody that can depool is going to depool class 4 and move that out of the scenario. So whenever you depool, that lowers your statistical uniform price because you're pulling the higher value milk out of the pool. And then class 3 came down about $1.20. So if you look at Minnesota, Wisconsin, that's why that was down $1.22. And the one I always kind of look at is the Northeast, partly because I live here, but that's kind of a blend of everything. And so that was down about 85 cents. So that's kind of a good number overall. One of the things we can look at is what was a change in the utilization of class 4. This is going to give us an idea of depooling. Or it's going to give us an idea of how that changed. And so if we look at the upper Northwest, they changed their depooling quite a bit, and that's what kind of changed their statistical uniform price. But you look at California, it really didn't change. And so I put in California's numbers here for percent utilization. And it looks like from May to June, there wasn't very much difference. But compare that to December of 2019 when they had 65% class 4 and only 3% class 3, where now they've got 72% class 3 and only 2% class 4. So California is one of those orders that will just switch on a dime and depool whatever the highest price is. So it's really hard to always look at their data. So you'd say, well, California's got very low prices. You really can't look at this and make that decision because they've depooled so much. And there was a little bit of changes, but like order one usually doesn't depool, so that's just some utilization differences. So again, the big difference was the Northwest. So from here, we got to kind of take a look at what we think happened to daily production. And so the first thing that caught my eye is California is about 100%, and they didn't actually change their depooling at all. So that would be fairly good numbers. Here in the Mid-Atlantic, about 101, Minnesota, Wisconsin, about 101. So you look at, what happened to class 1, 2, and 3 on a pound basis, and that was about 99% of last month. But if we look at it another way and say, well, what if we do just 1, 2, and 4? That was down 92%. So class 4 was definitely down. Some of that was depooling. Some of that was probably utilizations. And so what I'm going to do is basically use 99% June number over May. So when I do my estimates of the milk production report, if we look at overall, class 1 was down about 4%, about 25% of the total milk that was in the federal order. And again, class 4 was only about 7%, and it was down 73%, so that makes sense. Fat values were across the nation weighted by the amount of milk, the 3.98. That's about 4% off of last month, which makes sense because summer's coming along. And again, we have very good numbers up here in the Northwest and a little bit lower numbers down here in Florida at 375, where the heat's really on in June. The Northeast was around 4, and 4 plus or minus a little bit is kind of the average number, and 3.98 is where the weighted average came in. Protein numbers, we don't have all the orders giving us protein. very strong in the Northwest again at 331. Most of the rest of these are 313, 314, 316. So the Northeast is, net 315 plus or minus a point or two. All right, this next week we're going to have a kind of a busy week. We're going to have a crop progress report on Monday. We're going to have a global dairy trade on Tuesday. That'll really kind of solidify where non-fat dry milk is going. You saw that was a limit up the other day without a lot of movement, so it's going to be interesting what that auction shows us. Third national dairy sales report, and we're basically done pricing July. And in my opinion, we're going to begin pricing August this next week. And then we are going to get the milk production report. And I was playing with how I thought that would come in, and basically I have milk production per cow down a little bit, and cow numbers pretty flat compared to May. All right, that's it for me, and I'll get your report when the next USDA report comes out.